Okay everyone, we are back. I've now created an if for username exists, max connection, band IP, and then we have logging, so we can log our activity. Okay. Next up, we'll do the send function. So for this, we'd when we have our chat history, to just type and hit enter, and it should send it, just like in every chat. So for this, we'll use is pressed gosh, what is enter? Good thing we have this. Is pressed. Let's see, spacebar. Here, enter 0D. Okay. 0D. And GUI CTRL. Should read what we have there. Control get focus. String replace. Let's copy this. Alright. Next, we want to create little hotkeys, so to say, or key commands. For instance, if our chat history is really cluttered and we want to get rid of it, we could hit .clear, hit enter, and instead of sending .clear as a message and no one understanding what the fuck you're trying to tell them, it would just be a command to erase your chat so it looks clean. So we can use or /clear or whatever you like. So if our read equals dot logs, which will be for logging the history, then run logs. Else if, whoops, if it's dot clear, and that's simple to do, we just do GUI0 set data of history to nothing. Else if read equals save, then file write at mday and let's see if I do this all correctly. And to conclude it, we'll call it logs.txt. Boom. And what we want, whoops, is it, yes. Read history. Gosh, I cannot write. All right. That is that. Then let's continue. let's do a help so people actually, when they use it, can check up the commands. Let me just quickly write this out. And else, if none of that is said, then TCP send server and read. And if GUI CTRL set data Alrighty, so let's see. If okay, that's usually a mistake I do. I open a ton of if statements and then always never close them. But I did it right this time. Hooray. So let's move on to the next steps. Next up, let's write the function disconnect. Alright. History becomes blank. TCP, whoops, close socket. Server equals -1 again. We hide the history or the chat. We don't want it to be set on top anymore. No. We want client to show again. And be set on top. Alright. End function. a sec. Have to declare data. So data will be what this logs function will be used. Where is it? Right here. Alright. Alright, that's it for that. Quick and simple. Now let's move on to the start. So function start. If let's see, we want to read the user first off, or let's first do some checking for errors. That's always helpful. What did I call it? IP user. Whoops. They return an error. TCP connect. So if you like, you could set global variables for GUI CTRL, for, what am I talking about? Set global variables for IP, port, or user IP and port, or you can just read them out every time. That's helpful if the user changes their stuff a lot around, then this is probably most helpful. So I'm just going to stick with that. It's more writing, but whatever, it's not that much. So now we want to connect to the IP. So and we want to connect to the port. And I forgot that. There we go. So if server equals -1. Why do I keep writing of or at error, then when set on top, so we want to not make the client window on top because we are now sending a message box. And if we leave it on top, the message box will be hidden underneath the window. Talking about that, I actually forgot to do that right up here. Except that's not for client, but for GUI. There we go. Alright. Where were we? Message box. What's the code? 48. Now let's do 16. Fatal error.